Well, the brakes have been put on the high-speed rail project that voters approved back in 2008. A judge decided this week to block the state's access to billions of dollars in bonds that it needs to build the bullet train. Joining me now is State Senator Mark DeSaulnier, chairman of the Transportation and Housing Committee. The judge's ruling, in a nutshell, what does it say?
It says that the Treasurer can't go ahead and put the bonds out there for sale, and it says that the High-Speed Rail Authority has to come up with a financing plan that identifies $25 billion of funds. Okay,
the whole idea behind high-speed rail, San Francisco to Los Angeles in less than 3 hours, is that correct?
2 hours, basically.
That's a pretty ambitious plan, and it also involved it started out at $34 billion, and now the price tag is up to?
Well, it actually started up higher, 68, came down to 38 now, who knows?
And then it went back up again?
To be determined.
Okay, so one of the big questions is where's the money coming from? The idea was that it was going to be California bond money that we taxpayers put up, right, then federal money, and then private investment money. What seems to be lacking at this point?
All of the above. We don't have enough money. The state doesn't have enough money. We have the bonds that the voters have approved, but we're $300 billion short on just maintaining our existing infrastructure. So to try to come up with new money for high-speed rail, I don't see where it's at.
But then nonetheless, they are going to begin building it in the Central Valley, correct?
Well, it's to be determined. The judge has said you've got to come up with a financing plan before you start building it. You can do the environmental work, you can do the planning work, but that's all they can do.
All right. Now, what about that famous one stretch in the Central Valley that people were calling the train to nowhere? The idea was to build that with federal money and then expand up. Is that on hold? Because the High-Speed Rail Authority made it sound like they were going to go ahead with at least starting it.
Well, they've said all along they're going to go ahead, but the judges said they can't until they identify the financing that the voters approved when they approved the bond allocation.
So where do we go from here?
I think we have to revisit the whole project. I think we have to be thoughtful about what our needs are for transportation, and it should be based on how we build the infrastructure for an economy that needs mobility, greater mobility for people.
But the state legislature already approved this and went along with this. The voters went along with this. How is one judge going to stop something this big?
Because the judge said they violated high-speed rail, violated the language in what the voters approved. So you can't lie to the voters ultimately.
If the judge says no and his ruling stands, what happens to all the other projects that were hung on this in order to win political approval? For example, Caltrains, the Peninsula Rail Service, they needed high-speed rail money to electrify their service and stay economically viable. I believe that other transit systems, including Muni here in San Francisco and around the Bay Area, are also going to get a slice of this pie, or were.
Yeah, that was part of what the blended system was, which I think the administration did a good job. As you know, I voted against the allocation along with 4 of my Democratic colleagues, so it just barely got out of our House. But they did come towards us by doing the blended system. If this money isn't approved, we'll have to go back and look for other funds.
Okay, what does this say about big projects?
Big projects, we just had a hearing of the committee, and people from Oxford, Harvard, and UC all told us that big projects, 9 out of 10, are way over budget. And rail projects are really over budget, all over the industrialized world.
All right, and on a scale of 1 to 10, chances of this thing actually happening, high-speed rail?
I don't think it'll happen, 1, I would say.
Okay, and finally, I understand you get a raise starting Monday.
Well deserved, I think.
5.5%?
Yeah, that's after we took a 23% cut in the last few years, appropriately, by an independent commission. We don't get to do this.
All right, so you don't get to set it, but you get to have it.
Well, we got to have it taken away, too, Phil.
Well, thanks for coming by this morning.
I appreciate it.
We weren't going to let you out of the studio without asking about that.
It's a pleasure.
All right, back to you guys.
He's got a good point there.